Class 10 CBSE English exam. For some students, it is a scoring subject, but for the others, it is a bit confusing or scary. So अगर आपको लगता है कि हमें इंग्लिश आती तो है बट एग्जाम में मार्क्स नहीं आते हैं या फिर एग्जाम में समझ सब आ जाता है बट आंसर्स परफेक्टली फ्रेम नहीं होते, then this video is for you. Well, hello everyone, this is Vishal Mandal, an English educator at Unacademy Center Kota, and in this video we are going to be talking about some important strategies and tips as well as the blueprint of the English exam. So let's begin with the video. First of all, as you can see, the CBSE has prescribed this particular section or the marks weightage for the exam. The entire exam is divided into three different sections. The section A is reading skills, followed by grammar and writing skills, followed by literature. As you can see, reading skills comprises of 20 marks, which includes two questions. One is of descriptive type and another one is of factual type, which is going to give you 20 marks. As for the grammar section, it includes 10 questions that you need to attempt. There are 12 questions out of which you need to attempt only 10, and each question carries 1 marks. So it is going to give you 10 marks. When we talk about writing section, it includes two different topics. The first one is letter writing and the other one is analytical paragraph. Each question carries 5 marks. So by attempting two questions, one is of letter and one is of analytical paragraph, you are going to get 10 marks. As for the literature section, as you can see, this comprises of two different textbooks. One is your main textbook, which is called First Flight, and the other one is Footprints Without Feet, your supplementary reader. It has been observed in the past that in the PYQs, 28 marks is designated for your First Flight and 12 marks is for Footprints Without Feet. So now, let us see how we can improve these particular section one by one. So let's begin with the first section, which is section A, reading. Now section A comprises of two different types of passages. One is descriptive, which is based on discussion as well as opinion. If the writer is trying to convey the opinion or discussing about a particular topic, then it is going to be your descriptive paragraph. And the second one is factual passage. If the passage includes some facts or data based on research, then it is going to be your factual passage. Each question carries 10 marks. So in total, you are going to get 20 marks, right? 10 for this and 10 for this one. In total, you are going to get 20 marks. Now, oftentimes, students get confused when a different sort of question comes in the exam. Now, generally what happens when we solve the reading section, the question is directly asked, which you can find in the paragraph, but sometimes the examiner asks you about the tone of a passage. Now, there are some students who don't know about the tone of the passage. So for them, we have different tones that a passage must convey, such as informative tone. What is informative tone? When we talk about informative tone, it is going to talk about a data or a fact. The second one, persuasive. If the passage is trying to convince you about some particular topic, that it is going to be your persuasive tone. The next one is reflective tone. If you realize something by reading a paragraph or there is a self-realization involved, then it is going to be your reflective tone. The next one is neutral. If it is just discussing about some particular topic and not exaggerating things, just simple and subtle paragraph, it is going to be your neutral tone, followed by narrative tone. If the passage tells you a story or a description of something, then the tone is going to be narrative. And the last one we have here is optimistic tone. If the writer is being optimistic about the future and he is being hopeful, or he is trying to convey a solution focused scenario in the passage, then it is going to be your optimistic tone. Let us have an example. This example was asked in the last year's PYQ. So the question goes like, what is the tone of the writer in the given lines from paragraph 5? Rationalize your response in about 40 words. As you can see in this particular question, you have been asked about the tone of a particular line, not the entire paragraph. So by reading the line, we can see that cinnamon is a spice that has been prized for its medicinal properties for thousands of years. As you can see in this particular line, we have been given information or some sort of fact about a spice called cinnamon. Now about cinnamon, what we know, the fact is that it has medicinal properties and it has been used for thousands of years. So in this particular question, we can see that it is informing us about something and it is giving us a data or a fact about some sort of spice. So it is going to be your informative tone. And how are you going to rationalize it? It is very simple. You are just going to write that it is talking about some important fact about a spice called cinnamon, which has been used for thousands of years. So therefore, it has an informative tone. All right. Okay. Now another type of question which is asked to you whether a statement is subjective judgment or the objective detail. So first of all, we need to understand what subjective judgment versus objective detail is. So let's see. When we talk about subjective judgment, it is nothing but something based on opinion. If the writer of the passage has shared his opinion about something, that is going to be your subjective judgment. Objective detail, it is going to be based off of facts or some important data. So let us consider one PYQ. In this particular question from the last year, it has been mentioned that fill in the blanks with the appropriate option from those given in brackets based on your understanding of paragraph 2. Now we don't have the entire paragraph, but we can understand from this part only the statement that World Migration Report highlights significant migration flows from India to the United States or the United States Emirates as well as Saudi Arabia is A or N? Is it a fact or is it an opinion? So first of all, we need to consider that in the paragraph itself, it is mentioned that there has been a report which confirmed that there is a migration flow from India to the UAE or USA as well as Saudi Arabia. So this is a fact. So therefore, we are going to write fact here. And now as we know that it is a fact, so fact leads us to the objective detail. It is not the opinion of someone, it is the data or the fact which is given to us, which is the objective detail. So we are going to mention objective detail in the second part. All right. Now, let's talk about the next section, section B, which is grammar and writing section. Let's begin with the grammar section. As you all know that this question comprises of 12 questions, out of which you need to attempt only 10 questions. And each question carries equal marks. That means 1 mark for each question, you're going to get 10 marks. As we all know, for the grammar section, we need to cover these particular topics such as determiners, tense, modals, subject-verb concord, as well as reported speech. But that's not it. Apart from it, you need to cover the entire syllabus of English grammar that includes parts of speech, starting with nouns, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, verbs, as well as preposition, conjunctions, and interjection. Because when we talk about error spotting type of question or the error correction type of question, the error could be at any parts of speech, right? Let us have an example. In the blank, fill in the blank by using the correct form of the word in the brackets for the given portion of a letter. First of all, you need to read the entire question. Do not directly start from here. हमें यहाँ से directly start नहीं करना है, हमें entire question को एक बार go through करना है so that you may know कि आपको किस particular फॉर्मेट में उसको आंसर करना है. जैसे in this particular example you have been mentioned कि एक लेटर का पोर्शन है, so you need to keep that in mind कि हम लोग एक लेटर का पोर्शन जो है वो सॉल्व करने वाले. All right, so the question is, I believe that with your support and dash and the verb is given to you which is cooperate, we can find a mutually agreeable solution that meets the expectations of all stakeholders involved. Now, in this particular question, you need to understand this is not the question of tense, neither it is a question of some other topics which is given to your syllabus. It is the question of noun. As you can see, and is a conjunction which connects same parts of speech, such as here it is a noun. So the second part should also be a noun. Now, what is the noun form of cooperate? It is cooperation. So you would have to mention cooperation instead of cooperating or cooperated, right? Clear? All right. Now let's talk about the second part of section B, which is your writing skills. As you know, writing skills includes two different topics. One is letter writing, in which you have been asked about a letter to the municipal corporation, a complaint letter, a letter to the editor, uh, an application letter, job application letter, business letter, inquiry letter, and so on. And in the second part, we have analytical paragraph in which you have been given some data, some facts such as a pie chart, a graph, a bar graph, and so on, and according to which you would have to answer. Now, each question has two options in it, A or B. That means there will be two letters out of which you need to attempt only one letter. In the second one as well, in the analytical paragraph, again you have been given two options out of which you need to attempt only one. All right. Now, let's talk about examiner's mindset, how he or she would check your answer sheet. So first of all, whenever you write any question from the writing section, you just need to focus upon the marking scheme of it. First of all, we have the format. You need to focus upon the format of the letter as well as analytical paragraph. अगर हम बात करें format की, if you use the correct format, you will be awarded 1 marks for it. And for the body content, if your body is precisely correct, then in that case, you're going to get 2 marks for it. For organizing ideas, whether your flow is correct, the language flow and accuracy, you will be awarded 1 mark. And for the accuracy itself, that is your punctuation, your grammatical errors and all, if it is corrected, then you're going to get 1 mark. So in total, you're going to get 5 marks for each question. Now, let's talk about the body content. When we talk about body content, your body needs to be divided into 3 different paragraphs in case of letter writing. And in one paragraph, you can include all these 3 in the analytical paragraph. Let's talk about letter writing first. In the letter writing paragraphs, first paragraph is introductory paragraph or the introduction, where you are going to introduce your subject about which you are going to talk about in the letter. Then the second one is concern. What are your concerns? What are the issues that you are facing due to that particular issue? You would have to mention everything here. And in the third paragraph, which is your conclusion or solution, you would have to mention that why you are writing the letter, and if there is any solution that you could suggest, you would have to mention here. All right. So now let us have a look at some students' answer sheet and let us see what mistakes they have done and what are the right things that they have done. Okay, so we have one of my students here who is an average student, and as you can see, this letter does not look like a letter to me. First of all, as you can see, what are the mistakes he had made? Let's see. All right, so in the first part we use sender's address, but this one is the receiver's address. It is the address of the editor, which is totally wrong. First of all, you need to mention the sender's address followed by the date and followed by receiver's address. So here this is wrong. Now, as you can see, the formatting of the date is totally wrong. First of all, we do not write the word date here, as well as we do not place dash or the hyphens in between the month and the year. So this is totally wrong. What should be the right thing? we'll discuss later. Then the student has used the sender's address at the place of receiver's address, which is totally wrong. So this should be like, this should come here, the receiver's address, and the sender's address should go at the top. All right. Then as you can see in the subject, the student has used an equal or somewhat equal sign, which is totally wrong. We always place a colon and we do not use a full stop. As you know, it is a subject, not a sentence. A sentence is the one which comprises of a subject and a verb. It is just a subject and not a sentence. So therefore, we do not use a full stop. Just a colon and leave the sentence as it is. अच्छा, नेक्स्ट पार्ट में हम डिस्कस करते हैं. एज यू नो कि हम लोगों को पूरे एंटायर पैराग्राफ को 3 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करना था, विच इंक्लूड्स योर इंट्रोडक्टरी पैराग्राफ, इशू ऑफ द कंसर्न एंड द कंक्लूजन. जो स्टूडेंट ने बिल्कुल नहीं किया है, इसने 1 पैराग्राफ में इसको समराइज किया है, विच इज टोटली रॉन्ग. तो इसके यहाँ पे कंटेंट के मार्क्स जो है वो नेगेटिव में जाएंगे, राइट. एंड फॉलोड बाय complimentary closing or the subscription, which is again wrong here. We need to use the complete word yours followed by an adverb, yours faithfully, starting with small letter. All right. So this is again the wrong one. Now let's see how you write in a proper manner. Okay, again this is one of my student who has given the pre-board exam, and as we can observe here, the sender's address is rightly written. That includes the house number, the name of the locality, followed by the city. Then we have one line gap and we have the date. As you can see in the date, there is no punctuation used, not a single comma or a hyphen or a slash. Then again we need to leave one line gap followed by the receiver's address. In the receiver's address, we always write the address in 3 lines. First of all, the designation of the person, that is the editor in this case, followed by the office or the place he works in, such as he is the editor of the Dainik Bhaskar. So we have written the Dainik Bhaskar, followed by the city, Delhi. After one line gap, you need to mention the word subject followed by a colon, which in this case, followed by a colon, which in this particular case is absolutely right. Do not use a full stop at the end. All right. Then this paragraph is divided into 3 different paragraphs. As you can see, this is the introductory paragraph in which she had mentioned, I am an ardent reader of your esteemed newspaper, and through the column of your esteemed newspaper, I would like to draw the attention of the concerned authorities towards the children who are employed as domestic helpers, which is absolutely correct. Followed by the problems that they are facing and the conclusion. Conclusion includes, this is a threat to our society and hampers our country's development. So I urge the concerned authorities to look after it and stop such practices. So she has written the conclusion very nicely. So therefore, she are going to get complete marks, which is 5. All right. Now you know which mistakes needs to be avoided and what you should do. Okay, the second part, which is your analytical paragraph. When we talk about analytical paragraph, you are given a data which you need to analyze and put it in a paragraph. So I have used this particular pie chart to explain how you are going to write it. You know, some students, what they do whenever something comes of this sort, वो directly use करते हैं as if कि 20% of the population are upper class due to this particular reason and so on. हमें बिल्कुल भी ऐसे mention नहीं करना है. How we need to mention it? तो आपको लिखना है, as you can see, the majority of this particular pie chart is 50%. So we need to mention that the majority of the population are the lower class because they sustain their life on the basis of what they earn, right? And then we can mention that 1/5, 20% can be mentioned as 1/5 of the population, and 25% can be mentioned as 1/4 of the population. So this is 1/4, this is 1/5, and this is minority, this is majority. When you write in that manner, when you write the 1/4 of the population, it increases your word limit एंड देयरफॉर आपको जो पैराग्राफ है वो एप्रोप्रिएट वर्ड लिमिट में कंसीडर किया जाता है. ऑलराइट, चलो. Now there is another answer sheet of a student who has written this particular analytical paragraph. See, in this particular paragraph, she has started with the introduction by saying that the given graph illustrates the number of students of class 10 speaking different languages as Hindi and English in 3 different types of schools in New Delhi. There is one question which was asked to the students. So ये आपका introductory paragraph है, followed by these particular line which is analyzing the entire data, and as you can see the last one is the conclusion line where she is concluding the entire paragraph. All right, but there should not be any breakage between the paragraphs. आपको एक complete paragraph में ही इसको include करना है, right? All right, now let's talk about a very important section, section C, which is literature, which is going to give you the maximum marks of the entire paper, which is 40. Let's see. So as you know, in literature, we have 2 different textbooks. One is the main textbook, First Flight, and the other one, your supplementary reader, Footprints Without Feet. अगर हम marks को compare करें, तो when we talk about Footprints Without Feet, वो हमारी least marks की आती है. अगर हम बात करें First Flight की, तो maximum marks आपको First Flight के लिए award किए जाते हैं. So question number 6 of the literature section is based on extract. Now this extract is going to be from drama or the prose, out of which आपको उसको attempt करना है. There will be 2 questions, one from First Flight and the other one from Footprints Without Feet. 2 extract आपको given होंगे from the drama and the prose, मतलब एक story आपको given होगी basically, उसके basis पे आपको उसको answer करना है. Now आप either first one attempt कर सकते हैं or the second one. Each question carries 5 marks, तो आपको जो भी question आप attempt करेंगे उसके लिए 5 marks awarded होंगे, right? Then for the question number 7, again you have extract based question, but this is from the poetry. And as we all know, we don't have poetry in Footprints Without Feet, we only have it in First Flight. तो हम First Flight की poetry की बात करेंगे only. So from option A or option B, you need to decide which one you want to attempt based off of your knowledge of that particular poetry. Again, आपको इसके लिए 5 marks award किए जाएंगे. So in total, आपका extract based question जो है वो 10 marks का conclude होगा, right? Then we talk about question number 8, which is short answer type, in which you would have to write the answers in 30 to 40 words. Now it is a bit tricky or a bit difficult for some students because they don't know how to expand the answer as per the marks awarded, right? तो अगर हम 30 to 40 words की बात करें तो आपको approximately, because हम लोग 10 words per line को लेकर चलते हैं, तो approximately अगर आपको 30 to 40 words पे आंसर लिखना है तो you would have to write either 4 lines or 5 lines. That would be enough. All right. Again यहाँ पे आपको 5 questions given होंगे from the First Flight, out of which आपको 4 attempt करने हैं and each question is of 3 marks, तो आपको total 12 marks जो है वो awarded होंगे. Then followed by again short answer type 30 to 40 words, but now from Footprints Without Feet. आपको 3 questions given होंगे and you need to attempt only 2, so 3 into 2 is going to give you 6 marks in total, right? अच्छा, तो आपके short answer type में total जो questions होंगे वो होंगे आपके 18 marks के. All right. Now question number 10 and question number 11, both are of long answer types, in which you would have to write 100 to 120 words. Now again 100 to 120 words जो हैं वो आपके 10 to 12 lines में comprise होने चाहिए, therefore वो आपका 100 to 120 words consider किया जाएगा. अच्छा, जो हमारा question number 10 है, it is from First Flight, where you will be given 2 questions and you need to attempt only 1. ठीक है, एक question आपका 6 marks का है, तो आपको again 6 marks के लिए 100 to 120 words लिखने हैं. That means 10 to 12 lines में आपको इसका आंसर जो है वो लिखना है. We'll see one example of the same question कि कैसे हम इसको 3 marks के लिए लिख सकते हैं and कैसे हम इसको 6 marks के लिए लिख सकते हैं. ठीक है, again question number 11 आपका same है. Footprints Without Feet से आपको again 2 questions given होंगे. 1 question attempt करना है, which is going to give you 6 marks, and in total you are going to have 40 marks from the literature section. All right. चलो एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन हम लोग डिस्कस कर लेते हैं कि कैसे हम लोगों को आंसर को एक्सपैंड करना है, या फिर कैसे उसको हमें एक शॉर्टन अप करना होता है. सो लेट्स सी. द क्वेश्चन इज, अगेन इट इज अ PYQ. Explain the reasons for Rajveer's excitement on seeing the plantation and Pranjal's lack of enthusiasm. First of all, we need to understand the question itself. The question says कि आपको reason explain करना है कि राजवीर जो है वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा excited था by seeing the plantation. जब वो plantation जाता है, जब वो tea plantations देखता है, तो वो बहुत ज़्यादा excited रहता है. Whereas अगर हम प्रांजल की बात करें तो वो शो करता है लैक ऑफ एंथुजियाज्म. दैट मीन्स वो बिल्कुल भी एक्साइटेड नहीं है. तो ऐसा क्यों है, क्या रीजन है, वो आपको बताना है. सो फ्रॉम द चैप्टर ग्लिम्पसेस ऑफ इंडिया पार्ट 3 टी फ्रॉम असम, वी नो कि राजवीर जो है, ही इज राजवीर एंड बोथ राजवीर एंड प्रांजल, दे आर द स्टूडेंट ऑफ अ स्कूल एट दिल्ली, इन दिल्ली सॉरी. तो वो दिल्ली के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, दोनों दिल्ली में है. बट अगर हम बात करें राजवीर की, he was born and brought up in Delhi. But whereas अगर हम प्रांजल की बात करें, he was born and brought up in असम. ठीक है, तो वो उसका जो पूरा लाइफ साइकिल है, जो लाइफ रूटीन है, वो असम के नियर बाय है, टी प्लांटेशन के नियर बाय है. सो देयरफॉर वो इतना ज्यादा एंथुजियाज्म शो नहीं करता है. नाउ हाउ यू वुड राइट दैट इन द आंसर. देखो, अगर हम 3 मार्क्स की बात करें, फॉर 3 मार्क्स क्वेश्चन, शॉर्ट आंसर टाइप, आपको जो आंसर लिखना है वो 3 to 4 लाइन्स में लिखना है. अब ये जो आप आंसर मेंशन करेंगे, जस्ट रिमेंबर कि ये बहुत ही ज्यादा क्रिस्प और बहुत ही ज्यादा टू द पॉइंट होना चाहिए. एज यू कैन सी, राजवीर वॉज एक्साइटेड बिकॉज ही वॉज विजिटिंग आसाम फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. सी, मैंने यहाँ पे कुछ लाइन्स को अंडरलाइन किया है. अगर आप एग्जाम में लाइन्स को अंडरलाइन करते हैं, सो इट इज ईजियर फॉर द एग्जामिनर टू एनालाइज योर आंसर. ऑलराइट, तो आपको लिखना है कि राजवीर एक्साइटेड था. व्हाई? बिकॉज वो आसाम विजिट कर रहा था फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम एंड कमिंग फ्रॉम अ सिटी, क्योंकि वो सिटी से बिलोंग करता था. द वास्ट ग्रीन टी गार्डन लुक्ड लाइक अ मैग्निफिसेंट व्यू. अब अगेन मैंने यहाँ पे एनसीईआरटी की जो लाइन्स है वो कोट की है कि वो एक सिटी से आता है, वो सिटी से बिलोंग करता है, और जब वो असम आता है तो वो एक मैग्निफिसेंट व्यू होता है जब वो प्लांटेशंस को देखता है. हाउएवर, अगर हम प्रांजल की बात करें, प्रांजल डिड नॉट शेयर दिस एक्साइटमेंट. वो इस एक्साइटमेंट को बिल्कुल भी शेयर नहीं कर रहा है. द रीजन इज बिकॉज ही वॉज बॉर्न एंड ब्रॉट अप ऑन अ टी एस्टेट. वो टी एस्टेट में ही उसका जन्म हुआ था, वहीं पर ही उसकी लाइफ जो है वो उसने कंटिन्यू करी. एंड फॉर हिम द प्लांटेशन वर अ कॉमन एवरीडे साइट. उसके लिए बहुत ही ज्यादा कॉमन था, एवरीडे थिंग था, एक रूटीन था उसके लिए. सो उसके लिए वो बिल्कुल भी एक्साइटमेंट का पार्ट नहीं था. ऑलराइट, हमने बहुत ही शॉर्टली इसको आंसर किया है. बट when we talk about the same question to be written for 6 marks, so you need to understand कि जब भी हम लोगों को 6 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन करना है और उसका आंसर बहुत ज़्यादा शॉर्ट है, तो उसको कैसे हम लोग एक्सपैंड करें. तो उसको एक्सपैंड करना इज़ वेरी इजी. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, आपको चैप्टर का बैकग्राउंड पता होना चाहिए कि चैप्टर में क्या क्या हुआ है, क्या फ्लो है चैप्टर का, क्या इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स है चैप्टर के, और उस चैप्टर के अराउंड ही आपको क्या लिखना है, अपना आंसर लिखना है. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, हमने अगेन स्टार्ट किया है, राजवीर एंड प्रांजल रिएक्ट डिफरेंटली टू द टी गार्डन्स बिकॉज ऑफ देयर बैकग्राउंड्स. अपने बैकग्राउंड्स की वजह से वो डिफरेंटली रिएक्ट करते हैं, क्योंकि दोनों के बैकग्राउंड्स डिफरेंट थे. एक सिटी लाइक दिल्ली से बिलोंग करता है, जहां पर एक नेचुरल सिनेरियो जो है इसको देखने को नहीं मिलता है. वेरएस अगर हम बात करें असम की, तो राजवीर प्रांजल जो है वो असम से बिलोंग करता है, और असम आपको पता है इट इज फेमस फॉर टी प्लांटेशन. तो टी प्लांटेशन के लिए जब वो फेमस है, तो वहां पे बॉर्न एंड ब्रॉट अप हुआ है, और उसके लिए वो बहुत ही ज्यादा कॉमन है. सो राजवीर कमिंग फ्रॉम द सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली is mesmerized by the magnificent view. वो mesmerized था magnificent view से. again NCERT कोट की हम लोगों ने. To him the endless tea bushes look like a vast green sea. थोड़ा expand करने के लिए हमने देखो कौन सी लाइन यूज की है कि राजवीर के लिए जो पूरे प्लांटेशन वगैरह थे, वो एंडलेस बुशेस वगैरह जो थी वो कैसी थी, इट वाज लाइक अ वास्ट ग्रीन सी की तरह उसको लग रही थी. एंड ही इज आल्सो एक्साइटेड बिकॉज ही हैड रिसर्च्ड द हिस्ट्री एंड लेजेंड्स ऑफ टी डिस्कवरी. जैसा आपको पता है कि इस पर्टिकुलर चैप्टर में 2 डिफरेंट लेजेंड्स जो है वो हम लोगों को गिवन है अबाउट द डिस्कवरी ऑफ द टी. राइट, एक इंडियन लेजेंड है और एक चाइनीज लेजेंड है. तो उसका भी हमने थोड़ा सा आइडिया यहाँ पे दे दिया है, जस्ट टू इंक्रीज आर वर्ड लिमिट. राइट, बिफोर हिज ट्रिप. हाउएवर, प्रांजल वाज बोर्न एंड रेज्ड ऑन अ टी स्टेट. उसका जन्म ही वहीं पर हुआ था. To him the plantations are a common everyday sight. उसके लिए बहुत ही common और everyday thing था. While Rajveer looks out of the window in wonder. राजवीर जो है वो विंडो से बाहर दिख रहा था, द ट्रेन विंडो, और वो बहुत ज्यादा एक्साइटेड था, वो वंडर कर रहा था. Whereas प्रांजल क्या कर रहा था एट द सेम टाइम, प्रांजल stays busy reading a detective book. वो बहुत ज्यादा बिजी था, वो अपने डिटेक्टिव बुक जो है उसको रीड कर रहा था. So this shows, ये शो करता है that what is magical to a visitor. एक visitor के लिए कोई एक part magical हो सकता है, but it often stays the same as a routine work for someone who lives there. अगर वो person already वहाँ पर रहता है तो उसके लिए वो everyday thing है, तो उसके लिए वो बिल्कुल भी excitement show नहीं करेगा. As we can take the example of our Indian monument, which is ताजमहल. अगर कोई आगरा से बिलोंग करता है, वो ताजमहल के राउंड रहता है, तो उसको वो बहुत ही कॉमन लगेगा. वेर एज अगर हम बात करें द पर्सन लाइक अस हु लिव इन डिफरेंट स्टेट्स, अगर हम लोग वहाँ जाते हैं तो हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड होते हैं ताजमहल को देखने के लिए, राइट. ओके, सो दिस इज हाउ यू राइट योर आंसर फॉर द 6 मार्क्स. तो सेम आंसर को आप 3 मार्क्स के लिए और 6 मार्क्स के लिए एक्सपैंड या फिर शॉर्टन कर सकते हैं. ऑलराइट, सो फॉर द एग्जाम रिमेंबर, जब भी आप कोई आंसर मेंशन करते हैं तो इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स को आप अंडरलाइन कर दें, सो दैट व्हेनेवर एन एग्जामिनर रीड्स इट उसके लिए ईजियर हो जाए फॉर गिविंग योर मार्क्स. जैसे हमने यहाँ पे राजवीर को हाईलाइट किया है, तो राजवीर सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली से बिलोंग करता है, ठीक है, और उसने क्या पढ़ा हुआ है, हिस्ट्री एंड लेजेंड्स ऑफ टी डिस्कवरी. ये शो करता है कि वो बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड है. वेर एज प्रांजल जो है वो बॉर्न एंड रेज्ड है कहाँ पर, टी स्टेट पर, असम में, ठीक है, और उसके लिए वो बहुत ही कॉमन है. आप यहाँ पे और अंडरलाइन कर सकते हैं दैट इट इज कॉमन फॉर हिम, इट इज अ कॉमन एवरीडे थिंग फॉर प्रांजल. ऑलराइट, so now you are aware of the entire marking scheme of the CBSE English exam, as well as how to write the exam, the answers properly, as well as अगर हम बात करें राइटिंग सेक्शन की तो कौन सी मिस्टेक्स आपको नहीं करनी है और क्या क्या आपको करना है राइटिंग सेक्शन में टू इम्प्रूव योर आंसर्स. ठीक है, अगर हम बात करें राइटिंग सेक्शन की अगेन, तो आपको पंक्चुएशंस पे बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान देने हैं, कहाँ पे आपको फुल स्टॉप प्लेस करना है, कहाँ पर नहीं करना है, कहाँ पर कोलन आएगा, एज वेल एज द फॉर्मेट, कि फॉर्मेट आपका कैसा होगा. अगर हम लेटर के फॉर्मेट की बात करें तो आपको स्टार्टिंग में इंक्लूड करना है आपका सबसे फर्स्ट पार्ट विच इज सेंडर्स एड्रेस फॉलोड बाय द डेट, रिसीवर्स एड्रेस, द सब्जेक्ट, सैल्यूटेशन, डियर सर और मैडम, रिस्पेक्टेड सर और मैडम, एंड सो ऑन. उसके बाद आपका बॉडी डिवाइडेड इनटू 3 पार्ट्स फॉलोड बाय योर सब्सक्रिप्शन, yours truly, yours sincerely, yours faithfully, जो भी आपको सुटेबल लगता है, फॉलोड बाय द नेम. अब कई बार क्या होता है क्वेश्चन में नेम गिवन नहीं होता है. इन अ लेटर राइटिंग क्वेश्चन द नेम इज नॉट गिवन टू यू, तो इन दैट क्वेश्चन आपको अपना नेम नहीं लिखकर आना है, यू जस्ट नीड टू राइट XYZ और ABC इज फाइन. ऑलराइट, चलो, so with that we have concluded the entire CBSE marking scheme. अब आपको पता चल चुका है, blueprint पता चल चुका है. Now you will be very excited for your upcoming board exams, and I'm excited too for my students to excel in the exams. So all the best to everyone.